in this discussion. The first floor goes to our Vice Chair, Mrs. Gál.
Thank you, Chairman. If you allow me now, I will be a bit more detailed than I had the occasion last time, because I was chairing the meeting and I couldn't intervene in such a way I would have done to the discussion on these issues. So I'm happy that now I can react on several things. What is clear now that for more than 1 year, our committee has been following seriously what's going on in Hungary, the situation of rule of law and democracy. During this year, the Commission analyzed our laws. The Council of Europe Venice Commission expressed its views regarding the new constitution and some of the cardinal laws. We had delegations from our committee. There are delegations to Hungary from the Council of Europe. Our media legislation was checked. There was always show willingness from the side of the government to modify, to reconsider where is it necessary, and these reconsiderations were introduced in form of amendments. So again, there was a serious worry and concern about what's going on, about the rule of law in Hungary, without having one single case of fundamental right infringement or a freedom of expression infringement where you could say that the rule of law did not function, where the courts did not work properly, or the Constitutional Court did not act. On the contrary, the court rulings prove, and look at the case of Club Radio, which was mentioned during the last debate, that the court are ruling independently. And this is the case if you look at the rulings of the Constitutional Court. They can't be regarded as pro-government or not independent ruling. So I do not understand why it is always questioned the rule of law. If it is evidence, and the evidence which is showed today and it is incorporated in all these working documents, it is that actually everybody, each institution is doing its work in Hungary. So I think it is crystal clear that you do not have to worry about the rule of law in Hungary. And I think I will go into the details about the mentioned issues here, because more and more Hungarians feel it really hypocritic from us, from the international institutions, that while we do not address really serious breaches of human rights or fundamental rights in other member states, we are constantly, as a Hungarian says, shouting wolf, and where there is any to see in Hungary. So everybody now, and more people say that this is double standard, and I think it's totally counterproductive. This ruling of the Constitutional Court, which I think is in many items misinterpreted, and the fact what's happening now with the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution is totally, I think, misunderstood, I would like to clarify a bit. What did happen? The Parliament adopted the new Constitution, and later on several transitional provisions about which the Parliament explicitly declared that they have the same power as the Constitution. These transitional provisions have been in force for the past year, so it's for 1 year already in force, and we are debating these provisions here during our year of debate on Hungary and the rule of law in Hungary. And they were also examined during general examination by the Council of Europe. And these transitional provisions were referred to the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court, in its ruling from December last year, December 2012, which Constitutional Court could check the provisions formally, adopted that, and I'm underlining it's a formal check, didn't say anything about the content of these provisions and neither about the merits, said that those provisions cannot be seen as transitional ones, so the legislator has to decide clearly upon them and make an evident and clear legal situation. Decide which of these provisions should be incorporated into the fundamental law, the Constitution, and which should be laid down on level of cardinal or ordinary acts. This is the ruling of the Constitutional Court. So the Parliament now is doing exactly what the Constitutional Court asked. So it's deciding to put all the transitional provisions, which are already in force for the past year, into the Constitution, incorporate them into the Constitution. So we cannot say that there is any overruling of the decision of the Constitutional Court. No way. I think this is a big misunderstanding which has to be clarified in time. And plus, regarding this new amendment of the Constitution, I'm sorry, I will really be fast, but I have to add because it's needed to be clarified. There are misunderstandings and misleading information, and I'm sure that you will find a clarification on it, on the Constitutional Court powers, because they are not in any way restricted, moreover. And this is the same thing with the assignment of the cases, which was mentioned by Mrs. Weber, because more legal guarantee is introduced now because of this issue was questioned. And it's also an extra legal guarantee introduced on the recognition of state-subsidized churches. So what I feel here, that much more clarification is needed, and maybe our viewpoint should be a more open-minded and not somehow affected already without looking into what's actually happening and what is the reason why it's happening. And just a last sentence. If we go on and go into such details, each amendment, each law, everything, I am very I share the views of more and more people in Hungary whom I'm meeting who are saying that if our committee or if these institutions will not do the same thing in case of each member state which have similar laws, similar acts or similar provisions in the Constitution, or they won't be worried to the same extent of the situation of media, independence of judiciary, rule of law in cases where other political groups have two-thirds majorities, maybe socialists and liberals, it will clearly prove that this is a political game with double standards, and the credibility of this institution is questioned. And that's what I'm afraid of. That's why I would like to cooperate and try to find an adequate understanding of what's going on in Hungary, and maybe more goodwill in approaching this whole process. Thank you. And thank you.